Before 1987, banks navigated risk with fragmented tools and gut instinct, lacking a unified way to measure danger. Black Monday, October 19th, 1987, changed everything. Global markets crashed, exposing just how fragile and interconnected finance had become. The old models failed. No one had a clear picture of total risk, and the losses were staggering. In the aftermath, the industry demanded a new tool, a single number to capture the maximum expected loss, making risk visible and actionable. This quest sparked a revolution, the birth of value at risk. Value at risk, or VaR, emerged as a revolutionary tool, promising to distill the chaos and unpredictability of financial markets into a single, clear number that could be updated every day, an anchor in a sea of volatility. It answered a crucial question that haunted every trader and executive. What's the most we can lose tomorrow with 99% confidence? American bank-like bankers trust pioneered VaR, harnessing decades of historical data to simulate thousands of possible market scenarios and set strict risk limits. Before VaR, risk was fragmented, hidden in silos, and often opaque even to those in charge. Now, for the first time, management could see the firm's total exposure at a glance, making risk visible and actionable. VaR unified the language of risk across trading desks and asset classes, transforming how banks allocated capital, set boundaries, and communicated risk internally. It became the beacon guiding firms through the fog of market uncertainty, helping them navigate storms with greater confidence and clarity. JP Morgan's risk metrics system transformed value at risk, or VaR, from a niche internal tool into a global standard for measuring financial risk. What started as a solution for one bank's needs would soon reshape the entire industry. In the early 1990s, JP Morgan's leadership recognized the need for a clear, concise way to understand the bank's risk exposure. They demanded a daily one-page risk report that could be easily reviewed at the highest levels. The answer was a sophisticated VaR model, capable of distilling complex portfolios into a single, easy-to-understand number that captured the bank's potential losses. In 1994, JP Morgan made a groundbreaking decision. It released risk metrics to the public, making its methodology and data freely available to anyone interested in risk management. This bold move set a new industry benchmark, allowing banks, investment firms, and regulators worldwide to adopt a common risk framework and speak the same language of risk. Soon, regulators like the Basel Committee began using VaR to set capital requirements, ensuring banks held enough reserves to weather financial storms. This regulatory pressure pushed banks to refine and improve their risk models, driving innovation and greater transparency across the industry. Every day, banks around the world ran their portfolios through risk metrics, integrating it into their daily operations and decision-making processes. They reported a single VaR number up the chain of command, making risk management a central part of the corporate routine. Over time, VaR became the daily ritual that defined modern risk management, shaping how financial institutions understand and control risk to this day. VaR was trusted until the 2007-2009 financial crisis shattered that trust. The models built on calm historical data failed to predict the chaos of a true crisis. Assets that were supposed to be uncorrelated crashed together. Losses far exceeded what VaR had forecast. The 1 in 100 day event happened again and again, exposing the illusion of safety. VaR's single number couldn't capture the complexity or concentration of risk. The industry realized it needed more than backward-looking models. Enter the era of stress testing, a new way to imagine and prepare for disaster. The age of financial war games had begun. Stress tests are financial fire drills, simulations of extreme hypothetical crises. Regulators design nightmare scenarios, market crashes, soaring unemployment, collapsing property prices. Banks must run these scenarios through their models, projecting losses and capital levels under stress. The goal: ensure banks have enough capital to survive even the worst storms. Public results force weak banks to raise capital and restore confidence. Stress tests became the new standard for resilience in the US, Europe, and beyond. But stress tests aren't perfect. Critics like Stanford's Anat Admati warn that scenarios may be too mild or predictable. Complex, opaque models can be gamed, turning tests into box-ticking exercises rather than true risk assessments. Real crises are chaotic, with feedback loops and domino effects that models can't fully capture. Admati argues the simplest fix is more equity capital. Thicker buffers make banks safer, no matter the scenario. The focus on perfecting stress tests, she says, distracts from this straightforward solution. True resilience comes from strong capital, not just clever simulations. The story of risk management is one of constant evolution. Each crisis forcing new tools and new thinking. From the earliest days of finance, every shock to the system has left its mark, shaping how we measure, anticipate, and respond to risk. VaR brought clarity to a complex world, offering a way to quantify the unthinkable, but its limits were exposed in 2008 when the models failed to predict the scale of the crisis and left institutions vulnerable. Stress tests pushed banks to imagine the unimaginable, challenging them to prepare for scenarios that once seemed impossible and to build resilience against future shocks. Yet, no model is perfect. Every approach has blind spots, and the future always holds surprises that defy our best predictions. Stress tests can be gamed, and capital requirements remain a central debate. Regulators and industry leaders continue to wrestle with how much is enough and how to balance safety with growth. The real danger is believing we've found a permanent solution. Overconfidence can blind us to new risks and emerging threats. VaR and stress tests are essential but imperfect. They force discipline and vigilance, not certainty. They remind us to stay alert, to question assumptions, and to never grow complacent. Their value lies in the questions they raise, not just the numbers they produce. The real strength of these tools is in sparking debate and driving deeper understanding. In a world of uncertainty, humility, and constant adaptation are our best safeguards. The future will always surprise us, but our willingness to learn and adapt is what keeps us resilient. The quest to manage risk never ends. It only evolves, challenging us to stay one step ahead in an ever-changing landscape.